Hi, I'm Reverend Tom Kearns, and welcome to 333 Magic 9, where the tarot cards and stars come together to help you. 2021 is going to be quite a different year than last year, but there still are some critical days you need to know about because they can affect your love, your money, and your career. So let's take a closer look. The card for the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, is the Three of Wands. Now, the Three of Wands is a card that's symbolic of movement and moving ahead and looking forward. And from his vantage point, he can see into the future. He can see what is coming, what lies ahead. So this can bring to you a sense of the opportunities that may come your way, but also maybe some of the challenges that come your way. Now, if we go to the astrology, these are the first 3 months. The yellow is the sun, the green is Jupiter, Saturn is in orange, Mars is red, Uranus is this pink down here, Mercury is this deep blue, and Venus is the light blue. Now, the most important aspect probably that has been going on really since last year has been the combination of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, but now that is separating. Jupiter and Saturn are both moved into the sign of Aquarius, that is this sign right here, and that is a lot different from the energy that we had for the past year and a half, 2 years, where Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto were in Capricorn. So this separation, Jupiter moving, Saturn moving, and Pluto moving just a tiny little bit, that little purple guy right there, and oh, I forgot, where's Neptune, the green colored one there. They move very, very slowly. That's what makes them so powerful. They affect us in a long period of time, but it's hard to see it, it's hard to feel it. So the separation of Jupiter and Saturn is moving through the 11th house. Now, the 11th house and the sign Aquarius is very, very powerful because Jupiter is good in Aquarius and Saturn used to rule the sign. It was a co-ruler of Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign that rules the idea of socialism and humanitarianism, things of that nature. And we can see that coming in our future. So as Jupiter and Saturn move away from each other, separate from each other, it suggests that we need to balance enthusiasm, which would be Jupiter and opportunity, and Saturn, which is reality. So what this says is that since it's in the 11th house and this deals with groups of people, society in general, in fact, or associations that you might be part of, that we have to be optimistic about dealing with these things, but we also have to have a sense of reality. Otherwise, it's not going to work very well. So, everybody's got to pay the rent. Now, the second thing that is happening is Mars, and Mars is the red planet, is going to be squaring Saturn on January 13th. Now, this is not a very happy square. And again, it's going up into the groups, and it's coming here from your second house. So that means you have to be careful with how much you are going to invest as far as time and energy and talents in anything that you're doing with groups of people, because you might run into frustrating situations or very limiting situations. You have to be a little bit careful. And then the next day, on January 14th, Uranus is going to be going direct. Now that's really a much better energy because now things can really start moving ahead. And that's going to be happening in your second house, so you should get a better feel for how your financial situation is going to be. There may be some good news about the help that will be coming, the stimulus package and things of that nature, so that might be very helpful. The next really critical time is when Mars conjuncts Uranus and they both square Jupiter. And this is going to happen on the week of the 17th. And it's going to be happening in the second house here. And this is the house of money and resources. And the square is going to come from the 11th house of friends and associates. So you have to be a little bit careful when you are dealing with friends or associates. You have to control your desires. You have to be careful not to be investing in, or either time or money in situations that are not going to be really good for you, especially if you are involved in a group and the group doesn't really pan out to be what you thought it was going to be. And you have to be careful with pushy people. That's sometimes people just feel like they should run everything, or you may feel like you need total freedom. So do be a little bit careful. That's a powerful combination of energy the week of the 17th of January. Now, as we move along in the month, Mercury will turn retrograde on January 30th, and that is going to be up here in the 11th house. So again, that same situation with dealing with groups and planning for events with groups of people, things of that nature. Mercury, when he goes retrograde, always suggests there may be problems in communications or planning or travel, things of that nature. So do be a little bit aware of that. So check your schedule twice. When we move to February, we're going to have a Saturn square that is going to be affecting Uranus. So when Saturn up here squares Uranus down here, you have a sort of like a battle between the past and the future. Uranus wants to break free of things, and Saturn wants to say, no, 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 don't take any chances. So what you need to do is try to be cooperate and be flexible, because what can be happening here is that the past may be having a little battle with the future. So you have to blend the two energies together if you can. When we go to March, we have Venus right here, the blue line, moving into the sign of Aries, and that's your first house. So now that can be really exciting on the level of love and romance, and also in the way that you express yourself, because your first house is the house of expression. So yes, be willing to express yourself, but do so with a little bit more gentleness and kindness. That'll win you a lot more kudos than if you just power your way into everything. And Venus in Aries is not really in the most friendly place for Venus, so do be aware of your energy. Now, there can be excitement with this, so also take advantage of maybe exciting situations. When we go into the April time period, April, May, June, so that's the second quarter, we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles card. Now this represents that you may need to pause or hesitate. You have to add everything up, put together a situation that would be beneficial between you and other people, and that might go into your partnerships or business situations. So do be aware of that energy. That's the overlying energy. Now, as we look at this, we can see that Saturn and Jupiter are really moving further apart, separating. So that is actually a very good thing, because it's going to allow that energy, each of those energies, to express more freely in their own manner, the way that they are more likely to be natural. Now they're still up here. You'll see that Saturn's going to go retrograde and Jupiter's going to go retrograde, so that's going to change things a little bit. But perhaps the beginning of the month, when Mars squares Neptune on the 9th, and Mars is the red line again, and Neptune is the little green guy up here in the 12th house. Now, up in the 12th house, Neptune deals with subconscious things, spiritual things, and when Mars is squaring Neptune, there may be a little bit of confusion around. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful not to let your energy and your desires be too confusing. You also have to be a little bit careful not to believe everything that you hear, and keep yourself within the boundaries of right and wrong. Know what you're doing. Okay. So then as we move ahead, we're going to have Mercury and Venus conjunct Uranus. So that's down here in your second house, and that can be really good for visionary ideas, your imagination. There's a lot of creativity around. Since it's happening in the second house, it might bring an opportunity to make some more money. But again, you have to be careful not to let your imagination throw you and make bad investments. So, wish fulfillment is not always a very good thing, because you wish and then you don't get fulfilled. So this is a really good time to develop your talents, though. So if there's anything that you do on a level of talent, make sure you take the opportunity to express it, because it can be very valuable to you. When we go into May, we're going to have Jupiter going into Pisces. Now, that's a very good thing. This is the first time in 12 years that Jupiter will go into Pisces. Now, Jupiter used to rule Pisces, so it's a good location. It's when Jupiter is in Pisces and in the 12th house, it's like having an extra guardian angel hanging around. It enhances your sensitivity, your compassion, your spirituality. You're very, very psychic, and you have the ability to be a healing force. So listen to your intuition closely, and try to use your energy in very smart, spiritual, and compassionate ways. That's where you can express yourself and expand. So in the area of spirituality and in the area of compassion and healing, that's very, very good energy. So as we go forward, we're going to also have Mercury and Saturn both going retrograde. You can see the retrograde there for Saturn, and there's a retrograde there for Mercury. Now, that's the last week of the month of May. So this is a time to review things. Now, Mercury is in the second house, so that's dealing again with finances, with talents and things of that nature, how you make money, how you spend money. So you have to review those things, make sure you're not being silly. And when Saturn is going retrograde, again up in the 11th house of associates and friends and groups of people, you make sure that you're being supportive of others, but also that others are supporting you. It's got to be a two-way street. It can't be all one way. That is never a healthy situation. Now, as we go into June, you're going to have Mars will be in opposition to Pluto. Pluto's up here in the 10th house. So when Mars goes here, he'll be in opposition. And that is a very powerful energy. Mars represents your desires. And Mars down here, really at the end of the 4th, going into the 5th house, has a lot to do with creativity, romance, pleasure, things of that nature. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful to control your desires, and don't force things on other people. Don't let them force things on you, and make sure you're taking care of your business responsibilities, because it's not all fun. Then the good news is Mercury will go direct in your second house on the 22nd in the sign of Gemini. So this is a really good time for selling things and communicating and listening and finding ways to invest your money, to invest your talents and your time, so that you get a good payback on this. So you can also spend a little extra money there, so do be a little bit careful. And I think for the final thing that we want to talk about is both Jupiter and Neptune will go retrograde. And again, they're both in Pisces. So this is a good time for you to control your emotions, to look at some of maybe your limitations, how you're limiting yourself, look at some of your fears, to see how you can grow through them and to heal them and move forward with them. Because Jupiter and Neptune are very powerful, especially when they are in the 12th house. So take advantage. Don't just fantasize about things. Make some real changes. That'll be very good for you. And here we have the months July, August, and September, and the card for that is the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups deals with romance and, you know, feeling good about others and coming together in partnerships and working together. So there's a very positive vibration there. And part of the reason for that is that, as you can see, Venus and Mars are very close together, and they're going to be running together for quite a bit of time, a month and a half, almost 2 months. So you can take advantage of that. But one of the things that we have to be a little cautious of is, again, we have Mars, the red line here again, and Uranus are in a square. So you don't want to spend too much. You want to be a little bit careful with your finances and with your investments. Keep one eye on them, because there can be some sudden changes, and you can make some bad decisions because you're demanding, and other people may be demanding. So do be a little bit careful. Don't be too pushy, and don't let other people push you into things that you don't want to do. One of the other things that's happening is both Jupiter, okay, so there's Jupiter, the green line, and there's Saturn, and you can see they're both going retrograde. And they're going to be going retrograde all month. Now, Jupiter and Saturn always have something to do with money and practical things. Jupiter wants to expand, Saturn wants to contract. So you're going to have to be a little bit aware of not spending too much money, but also not being too cheap. And this will particularly deal with groups of people or associations that you may be involved with. Now, again, as I said earlier, Venus and Mars are going to be running together, and they're right down here in the sign of Leo, and they're all together the whole month of July, and they'll also be together in Virgo in August. I'll talk about that in a moment. So this lights up the area of creativity and romance, pleasure, art, creativity, all those wonderful things. The only thing that you have to be careful of is that both Venus and Mars will square Uranus down here. So again, be a little bit careful with the pursuit of pleasure or spending too much money, being too willful. That might hurt you in romantic situations rather than help you. So it can be exciting, though. We've got to give it that. So then as Venus and Mars move here into the 6th house, they're going to be in the sign of Virgo. And this can lower the vibration a little bit when it comes to romance and creativity, so be aware of that. And make sure you're not being too critical of yourself or others, because especially in romance, that doesn't work very well. On the 19th, Uranus will go retrograde. Now, again, this is in your 2nd house, so you really have to be careful about your finances, and you might have to make some adjustments in your investments. But this also may affect just banking and the markets in general. Because Taurus rules the stock market and Uranus likes to shake things up. You might find that an investment that looked really good in new technology sort of fizzles out. So, do be a little bit aware and do be a little bit careful, because you don't want to lose your money. You work too hard for it. Now, the other part of that that's important is, since Uranus is here in the 2nd house, you might have to adjust some of your creative things that you're trying to do. Work with your talents, understand them a little bit better. Now we move to the 4th quarter, and this will be October, November, and December. And the card here is the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords is a very powerful card, and he really needs to be aware of what is going on, and he needs to be kind of in control. Not cold, but in control, because there's been so much that has happened in the past 2 years. If we, at this time, we were coming to the end of 2021, so between 2020 and 2021, I mean, there's been a lot. We've gone through a lot. The world has gone through a lot. So stay aware and stay in control. You don't have to be controlling of others. You need to look at life in a logical manner. Now, this is a time for for moving ahead in life. Because one of the interesting things that's going to be happening is Jupiter is going direct, Saturn is going direct, Pluto is going direct. So, I mean, there is just a lot of energy that will be moving forward. And as we go through the month, starting around the 18th, both Mercury and Jupiter go direct at the same time. So this should really help improve understanding and communications. So Jupiter is going to go direct and Mercury is going to go direct. It's really going to help things. Now, as we move into November, now in the field of astrology and tarot and the occult and all that kind of thing, the numbers 1111 is usually thought to be a very magical, powerful number. So the date 1111 is one to take a look at because we are going to have on that date a Saturn-Mars square. So Mars is going to be up here, squaring Saturn up here, and so we have to be a little bit careful. You can't have any power struggles, and you have to be careful not to put yourself in frustrating situations. They will work against you, they will not work for you. As we go into December, Neptune will go direct. So Neptune is in his own house here, so that's a very good omen, and it says that you can understand some of your deeper needs and your deeper emotions. And there'll be a sextile to Venus. Venus is the blue planet, and that also is a very good thing because Venus is the lower love nature, Neptune's the higher love nature, the spiritual love nature. So that is really very helpful. And you're going to maybe need that because Venus will go retrograde. So you can see this little retrograde motion up here in the 10th house, and that's the house of career and status. And she's going to be conjunct Pluto and then go direct right after that. So this is really a time to be careful in your career, and be a little bit careful knowing what you value, what you're trying to create in your life. You might find that there may be big opportunities to change or readjust your life, and that can be very good. But since Venus rules sensuality and love and things of that nature, be a little bit careful. Know what it is that you truly value in your life in the area of career and status, but also in the area of sensuality, sexuality, romance, all the things that would be Venus. And finally, Jupiter will go into Pisces, and this is the second time he'll go into Pisces this year, and that's into the 12th house, and Neptune is there. So that's going to bring a lot of extra energy into the area of the spiritual, the subconscious, and the superconscious. So since this is happening right around the holiday parties, the New Year's parties, you have to be a little bit careful with overindulgence and not to be too crazy. So stay a little logical here because your imagination may be running a little bit wild. So enjoy, but enjoy carefully and have a great new year. Hi, I'm Reverend Tom Kearns, and this is my story. If you are a spiritual seeker, it may help you on your journey. I believe your spiritual development is as important as your religion. If you look at Christianity, it focuses on the life of Jesus. But Jesus was never a Christian. He was Jewish. If this thought intrigues you, you'll enjoy my new book, Light from Water, Freeing Jesus. It's available on Amazon.com and through fine bookstores. And it may help you on your spiritual journey. I'd like to thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe because these videos are free, and hit the little bell for notifications. And for a special offer, visit my website, internetpsychicreadings.com.